Welcome to Philadelphia in the year 1800, a tour of the capital city captured by William Birch and Son through 27 copperplate engravings, hand-coloured and published for those who wish to own a piece of history. The Athens of America, they called it, the largest city in the young republic, 60,000 souls crammed between two rivers. This was the seat of federal power, though not for long. By November, Congress would decamp to the swampy Potomac, to that new city named for the general who had died just last December. High Street, known to us as Market Street, stretched like a grand promenade from river to river. Merchants in black coats and tricorn hats, ladies in empire waist gowns, servants and slaves carrying baskets from the markets, all moving with purpose beneath the brick facades that lined the thoroughfare. Christ Church rose like an exclamation point, its white Georgian spire piercing 190 feet into the Pennsylvania sky. Within its walls, Benjamin Franklin had worshipped and George Washington had prayed. Now, in this new century, its bells tolled for a nation learning to govern itself. At 3rd and Chestnut stood the Bank of the United States, designed in federal style, its Corinthian columns declaring financial stability in a nation whose credit was still untested. Alexander Hamilton's brainchild. Around it, Philadelphia hummed with enterprise, counting houses, insurance offices, and merchant shops. The commercial heart of America, processing tobacco from Virginia, wheat from Pennsylvania's interior, and rum and sugar from the Caribbean, all flowing through these streets on their way to distant markets. But wealth and power could not protect against the microscopic terror that had descended 7 years before. In the summer of 1793, refugees from the slave revolt in Saint-Domingue arrived at the Delaware wharves, bringing with them more than stories of revolution. The Aedes aegypti mosquito unleashed yellow fever upon the capital. 5,000 dead in 3 months, 1 in 10 residents gone. The fever struck first at the river, at the boarding houses where sailors and dock workers lived, crowded into rooms without ventilation. Death carts rolled through these streets, collecting bodies turned the telltale yellow of jaundice. The wealthy fled to Germantown, President Washington and his cabinet among them, leaving the city to those who could not afford to abandon their livelihoods or who stayed from duty. Dr. Benjamin Rush stayed to fight the fever with bleeding and purging. His methods killed as many as they saved, but his courage was unquestioned. The Free African Society, led by Richard Allen and Absalom Jones, answered the call when Rush asked them to nurse the sick and bury the dead. They died at the same rate as whites, yet afterward faced accusations of profiteering, charges they refuted in America's first copyrighted work authored by men of colour. The almshouse on Spruce Street overflowed with orphans and widows, those left destitute by the fever's appetite. By 1800, the city had learned harsh lessons. Plans were underway for a new water system designed by Benjamin Henry Latrobe to replace the contaminated wells that dotted every block. The fever changed Philadelphia. It proved that neither wealth nor position could guarantee safety in a city where sanitation was primitive and medical knowledge was limited. Philadelphia in 1800 was building itself anew, not just recovering from fever, but reimagining what an American city could be. The State House, what we now call Independence Hall, presided over Chestnut Street with Georgian dignity. Here, in 1776, the Declaration had been signed. Here, in 1787, the Constitution had been debated. Its steeple held the Liberty Bell, though no one yet called it that. Its crack was already visible, a flaw in the metal, some said. Others saw it as prophetic, divisions yet to come. At 2nd and Walnut, something revolutionary was rising. The Bank of Pennsylvania, designed by Benjamin Henry Latrobe, America's first building in the Greek Revival style. Its marble columns and domed rotunda announced that this new nation would claim the mantle of classical republicanism, Rome and Athens reborn on the banks of the Delaware. This was architecture as political statement, rejecting British Georgian in favour of ancient democracy. Congress Hall had hosted the federal legislature for a decade. Washington inaugurated for his second term John Adams in 1797. Now, in 1800, one final session before Congress departed for Washington City. Next door, the Chestnut Street Theatre spoke to other appetites, performances of Shakespeare and comedies. The theatre was democracy in miniature, all classes gathered under one roof, though strictly separated by the price of admission. In Birch's engraving, an African-American woman holds a white child, one of the few depictions of the city's black residents in the entire series. A reminder that slavery still existed here, though Pennsylvania had passed gradual abolition in 1780. The process would take decades to complete. William Birch chose to end his series with views that looked beyond the city proper, to the natural features that defined Philadelphia's geography. At the centre of the city stood the new waterworks, a neoclassical pump house designed by Latrobe that drew water from the Schuylkill River and distributed it through wooden pipes. The waterworks represented progress, an attempt to solve the sanitation crisis that had enabled yellow fever to kill so many. Its columned facade looked like a Greek temple to hygiene. The water was not as clean as Philadelphians hoped. The wooden pipes leaked and rotted. Still, it was better than what had come before. The Schuylkill River marked Philadelphia's western boundary. In 1800, work was underway on a permanent bridge, the longest covered wooden bridge in the world. Birch captured the river in its pastoral state, trees lining its banks, the water reflecting the sky. This was the edge of civilization, where the geometric grid of streets gave way to the organic curves of nature. Finally, Birch looked backward, to the legendary elm tree under which William Penn had made his treaty with the Lenape in 1682. The tree still stood in Kensington, though the city had long since grown around it. In the background, the port of Philadelphia bristled with the masts of merchant ships. This was Birch's statement about Philadelphia's identity, a city founded on peace and tolerance that had become the busiest port in America. William Birch arrived in Philadelphia in 1794, fleeing unrest in England. He found in this city a subject worthy of his skills, a place both raw and refined, ambitious and idealistic, suffering and recovering. His 27 views captured Philadelphia at a hinge moment in history, the capital of a nation about to lose its capital status, looking backward to its founding ideals and forward to an uncertain future. The engravings sold well. Jefferson himself was a subscriber. Today, these images are our window into a city that no longer exists. Most of the buildings Birch drew have vanished, burned, demolished, or buried beneath later construction. But in his careful lines and hand-tinted colours, we can walk streets that William Penn once walked and Benjamin Franklin once knew. I hope you enjoyed your tour of Philadelphia in 1800. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for future videos.